Hi guys, so today I want to show you what's in my camera bag. It's super simple, but this is my everyday gear that I use for every wedding, and I'll go through very basic sort of intro to each of those things and what is essential for my days at my own wedding. So let's go! So first things first, I have two Sony a7 III's. There is a new model out there and I am very well aware that there is a new model, but I don't feel that there's a need for me to upgrade just yet because the price is a big difference and it's something that I don't want to invest in right now. But I essentially have been using these for the last almost 2 years and they've never failed me. So these are the camera's a7 III's. They are quite heavy when you've got the lenses on, but essentially they do both photo and video for me, which is fantastic. And once you get to grips with it, like, the settings are so easily accessible with your hands. Like, I genuinely can't fault them at all. The clarity of the photos are incredible. They are great in low light, especially for video as well. That's why I chose them. But these are my two camera bodies that I have on me at all times, and I have a harness with that, which I'll show you in a second. But essentially I have two of these cameras. The lenses that I use, I always kind of 95% of the day will have my Sigma 35mm lens on one of my camera bodies, and that is because I like good wide shots that capture everything. So I will have that all times. It's not a pricey lens from a professional point of view, but it can be pricey if you're starting out, so I'd recommend hiring it first. But genuinely it's so easy and smooth to focus with as well. You've got a focus automatic and manual focus button at the side, so you don't have to go into the settings manually and do it that way. And genuinely, there's only two settings, there's only two things I can show you on this, and it's super simple, but genuinely I use this lens probably 95% of my time. It's great in low light because the aperture, I think it's 1.4, yeah, it's 1.4, so the aperture opens up really wide, so you can let a lot of light in. But genuinely, I love this lens. I could not do a wedding without it. I just love it so much. So that is one of my lenses. My other camera, I have either a 90 or a 135 on at all times. This currently has a 90mm on it. I love it. It's a macro lens, but it's great for portraits. So although it's called itself a macro lens, it's great for portraits in terms of focus. It's super detailed as well. It's probably not great if you have someone with maybe a lot of acne or a lot of texture to their face, but it's great for kind of bridal portraits in that beautiful natural light that we kind of see on a wedding morning. There's lots of settings on here. It is a G Master lens, so it is a bit more pricey. I'll put a link to all of these below as well, so you can check them out. But I got this because it's super good in terms of bridal prep. So I can do my macro lens focus, so I can do the ring shots in the morning, any flat lays, and it's super easy to adjust the manual and automatic focus. It is literally a focus ring that goes, that's so satisfying, up and down. I hope I didn't break that. It does have other settings on there as well, sort of the steady shot, you can turn it on and off, and there's also a button that you can program there as well. I personally haven't. It's not amazing in terms of low light because it does only go down to 2.8, which is quite wide actually, but I normally shoot around 2.0 for the day, so I kind of just use this for the morning bridal portraits. But that is the 90. The other lens that I mentioned earlier was the 135, so it's this kind of beast of a lens. This is my sniper lens. So this is the lens I use for candids, and if I want to be really far away in the room, particularly ceremony. So if I'm doing a ceremony and I don't want to be in the way, but I want to get those gorgeous hand photos, or like the bride's reaction or the groom's reaction, the 135 is my absolute godsend. I love this lens so much. It is also a G Master lens. It's very heavy and it does go down to 1.8 as well. So focus wise, it's super smooth, and genuinely I can't fault it. It also has a autofocus and manual focus button on there as well, so you don't have to fiddle with the camera. But this is my other go-to lens, so that is what I've got there. My other lenses I have as backup, so they are not ones that I kind of get out during the day at all. The only main one that kind of makes an appearance every now and again is not this dude, this one. Yeah, so this one is my 16 to 35. So it says Zeiss lens. The reason I use this is for those photos, maybe like a very big group photo when it's the whole wedding guest list and I can't fit everyone in, I'll default to this dude. Or maybe like I want to get the building shots and I want to see everything, so I will use this. I don't really use it on the 35 because I have my own 35 like I showed you earlier. So this is kind of like my default lens only for those big group wide shots. I may bring it out during the nighttime during the reception. It's quite cool to get really close up pictures of people dancing because it kind of warps them a little bit, and if you've got the flash on you kind of get some really cool effects. But that is kind of almost my bag only for one moment, and then I'll put it back in once I've taken the photos I wanted. So that is that guy. And then I just have the standard kit lens which came with it because you always need a backup lens. So let's say something happened to my 35, which I hope nothing ever happens to my 35, but let's say something did happen to my 35. This guy is really good just to have as a backup in your camera bag because you don't want to be without a lens on a camera day because you basically can't use your camera at all. So they are my default lenses. I do have some other ones. I've got a 50, I've got a 85, but they just kind of sit in my cupboards. I don't really use them. I use them if I need to, or if I feel creative one day, but these are the main ones that live in my camera bag. So we've got the 35, so we've got the 35, we've got the 90, we've got the 135, we've got the 16 to 35, and then we've got my backup kit lens because, you know, it was there for a reason, and I don't think I've ever used it at a wedding, but it's just peace of mind for me as well. So the other accessories I have is always a flash. So my main flash is my Godox one, which is this one, which is the V8603S. This is for Sony, so the S on the end kind of, I think it's C if it's for Canon, but obviously I'm using Sony cameras. So this is a great flash. It cost probably about £180 when I bought it. What I like about it is you don't need batteries. You don't need to carry around batteries all the time. It does have a rechargeable little thing that just slots in. It does have a really good TTL mode, which is basically auto flash. So if I kind of changing my exposure a lot on my camera, I don't need to adjust my flash accordingly. And it does have a really good kind of swizzle, it kind of swizzles all the way around. So we've got that there. It also has a model light as well. So if I'm doing sparklers or if I'm trying to find my focus in the dark, I can use the model light, kind of get that focus and then turn it off as well. It's just really kind of simple. There's nothing much to it apart from, you know, there are a few settings. You can choose the mode really easily. And I also use it to control my slave flash, which is my secondary flash if I need it. It's very rare that I have a secondary flash, but maybe in an instance where I'd have two flashes would be a nighttime shot where I want to illuminate the couple, but I also want a flash behind them to kind of create a silhouette. So that's when I'd have two flashes. Or maybe if the speeches are really dark, really dark, it's very rare that I do that, but let's say I need a room with two flashes in so I can illuminate the room a little bit more, particularly during dancing. Dance shots are really good for that. I will control this guy. So this is my oldest flash. I got this first. This is a Yongnuo YN5604 speedlight flash. I think they're about £60, £70 at the moment. It is very basic. It's super basic. It does need batteries, so I do have some rechargeable batteries that just Duracell chargeable batteries that I charge every time I go to a wedding. It does the job absolutely fine. What I would say is recycling time, so how long it takes to take one flash and the next is a bit slow. So I'd kind of default to this one first, but it's great for a starter. So if you're just trying to learn how to use flash for the first time, this one's a really good flash to use, and it does sync up with this one. So if I need to control this flash and this one at the same time, it does sync up quite nicely. So I've not had to pay £180 twice. I've still been able to use my old one. One accessory that I've got on here is the MagMod magnetic thing, which tends to be on this one. I'm not sure why I put it on this one, but essentially this allows this guy to sit on top quite nicely, she says. What this does is if you take a image, let me see if I can do a test, it will illuminate the whole room and it will bounce the light everywhere. If I just show you. not sure if the camera picked that up, but essentially it will bounce everything everywhere. So you get more of a natural flash look instead of like a direct flash. I love it. I call it a boob. It does look like a very much like a silicone boob, but essentially it does bounce the light quite well. So if you're in a room, maybe like a Premier Inn or one of those like dark hotel rooms that you want a bit more natural light, but you can't really achieve it, I do use this guy quite a lot. So I'll always point it up when I'm taking my photo, and then genuinely I will, I don't think the camera picked that up, but it will just illuminate the room, so you'll have a lot more natural flattering light. I wouldn't say it works very well direct. It kind of blows out everything if it's direct, so I'd always try and point it up. And it is also really good if I have this on a standalone flash and I'm using this as the trigger. It can kind of brighten up the background really, really well. So in the instance kind of like where I've got the couple and I want a silhouette of them, that would work really well. It would just kind of illuminate everything. But yeah, that is the Young Nuo. So I'm going to turn that guy off because it has rechargeable batteries and I don't want to kill those. So that is the flash. So other accessories I have, continuing with the flash theme, I do have my Godox trigger. So this sits on the camera. So if you are doing off-camera flash and both flashes are actually on a stand, I have this guy. I don't know what it's called. Maybe I can link it below. Nope. Doesn't say, but genuinely this just kind of acts as a trigger. You can sync your flashes up with them, and then when you're taking photos, instead of having direct flash, you could have like maybe on the dance floor, loads of people dancing, you could have a flash to the other side and it illuminates the room for you as well quite nicely. So I don't really use this very often. I've got it for those instances where I need two off-camera flashes and I don't want to have a direct flash to it, but that is there. It's always in my camera bag. Other accessories I've got is my harness. So this guy always gets some weird looks. It's got my logo on it, so it's got my name, Gabriela's Photography and Film. This I bought off Etsy. I want to say it was like £150. It's pure leather, I think. Very, very strong. And obviously you need something strong. I've used harnesses that I bought on Amazon for 20 quid and they have broken because the cameras take a lot of weight all day. So having something like durable that's leather or, you know, any of sort of eco-friendly type things, you can get a harness, and that just has the clips on the end, and I just clip my cameras on like that and they can swing on there all day, which you need a lot of strength for that because the last thing you want is your camera breaking. So that clips on there really well. It does come with the attachments as well. And it also has other attachments. So I actually have my batteries and my SD cards on myself at all times because it's hooked on as well. So it does have extra hooks and I just have that dangling there. So if I quickly put that on, let me see. It does feel like you're putting on an octopus at some point, but there we go. So I'd have my two cameras just kind of hanging down, but then I have that access all day. So if my camera does go low on battery and maybe during the ceremony and I can't run back to my bag, I can just open that up very quickly, get those batteries out, and then if I need a new SD card, I've got that there as well. This is a shock resistant case as well, so it's meant to be like weather sealed, so if I am in the rain, it's not gonna get kind of damaged, which is what you don't want as well. So yeah, so that is a weather sealed thing. It's always on my body at all times and it just hangs onto my harness there. I get loads of odd looks from people sometimes when I put my harness on. Like I get laughs and I always make a joke like, well, it's not that kind of shoot unless you're paying extra, so but yeah, I always have my harness. Other accessories that I would recommend getting, they're not essential for a wedding day, but is this guy. This is a phone holder, so this clips onto the top of your camera. It has that shoe that you need, and it just clips in, and you can put your phone on the top and get lots of BTS, so behind the scenes footage, which is so important nowadays for Instagram to get behind the scenes of your wedding days. This one is the Alanzi, I think. I got it on Amazon for about 20 quid. It is really sturdy, so if you're moving your camera around, you're not going to find your phone flies off because you have to press the buttons to release it, and it is really, really sturdy. I know there are a lot of other photographers that use this. Cassidy Lynn, for example, she uses this as well because I've noticed it on her videos when she does like behind the scenes of herself. But that is kind of a must for me nowadays because I try and get behind the scenes of every wedding I go to create some content. And then finally, I've got my little portable speaker and a little kind of purse bag, which tends to have either mints in there, or it has plasters for the morning. I used to have a sewing kit in there, but I left it in a bridal room. It happens. But this can also clip on into my harness if I wanted to. I've just taken it off because I didn't need it the other day. But having a little portable speaker is great if you are finding yourself in an engagement session where maybe the couple is quite shy. You can put a kind of a background music to your session and it doesn't feel as forced, and it interrupts any sort of awkward silences. Like you don't want awkward silences because it makes the couple feel really awkward. It's great on the wedding day when you do the couple portraits as well, just to have some kind of background music. Really, really, really good for bridesmaids. So and the groomsmen actually. But if you want to hype them up and create some cool fun photos where you want like a really epic tune, like a 90s banger, like just really playing loudly in the background, you can get people doing lots of fun photos, champagne sprays as well. It kind of gets people in the mood. So having a portable speaker is really, really essential for me to get those moments out of people. And it can also be used during the bridal prep room. So I don't like to have TVs on in the background. I tend to find that when I arrive at a bridal prep room, they'll always have like the TV on with a radio station playing, and then the light from that TV will cast across the room and you'll get like a blue tinge. So I turn off that TV straight away, and sometimes I'll just put my own music on if they don't mind, or I just say, do you mind if I turn it off, or can anyone sync up to my speakers because it's Bluetooth and they can just sync it up. And it has saved a lot of instances to avoid any quiet bridal prep moments. I've got that in the background. So that is everything I've got in my bag. I literally just have a bag. It's a bag smart, like it's nothing crazy or essential. It just has the basics in it. It just has like lots of slots in there that you can customize. It's also got a spot for any sort of accessories, maybe a laptop or an iPad. I don't take my laptop to shoots because I don't want to break it. I know some people that do. I use my iPad sometimes, but I do keep lots of accessories in there in terms of extra bits. So let's take a look. So in here I have foot warmers. So it's not an essential, but if you're like me that has really bad circulation, having something like this can be a game changer. So if you're shooting outside in the winter and maybe you're doing mini sessions, or you're just genuinely a cold person like me, having something like this where you can literally, all you do is you put it in the soles of your shoes and they warm up. It's amazing. They're not reusable, but it's there. And then I have my hand warmers as well. So I'm basically prepped for the cold if I need it. And then I just have more hand warmers, but I also have like kind of indigestion tablets and stomach hay fever tablets, just other bits and bobs that if you aren't feeling very well on a wedding day, you can't go home unless you're dying. So I've got stuff in there like paracetamol and allergy tablets and diarrhea tablets, because you never know. Like there's everything I need in there. So that is all in that secret pocket. And that just goes on a rucksack like that. So everything does fit in here, believe it or not. But that's in my camera bag. So let me know if you have any favorites, or if you use the same thing, or anything that I should be trying. I'm always looking for trying new stuff. If you are looking for a new camera gear, please, please, please don't just splurge out. What I would highly recommend first is hiring the equipment. There are lots of websites that you can hire equipment from. There's Fat Llama, there is Lens Pimp, that's somewhere I personally use, where you get lenses delivered to you and you just send them back once you've done. It's a lot less money to do it that way. So maybe if you only do 5 weddings a year, 2 weddings a year, or maybe 1 odd wedding, just hire the equipment, and that way you're not spending so much money on something you might not use very often. So yeah, so that's all my equipment. I have built it up gradually. I started off with one Sony, and then I bought the other one second hand, and then the lenses, some of them are brand new, some of them are second hand. And then the flashes, I've got a very cheap one and I've got one that does the job. So I've got both options covered. What I would say is always have 2 cameras when you're at a wedding. You always need 2 cameras, and you always need a backup lens. So no matter what lens it is, as long as you've got it, you can always, always, always capture a good wedding, no matter what the lens, most of the time. That is it. That is my basic equipment list. If you've got any questions, let me know. And if you love this video, please subscribe. I release new videos every Friday, and I also provide lots of downloadable PDFs. So if you want to download some guides on how to be a second shooter, or learning about videography for the first time as a photographer, I have lots of stuff on offer. So you'll see the links below, and hopefully I'll see you again next week. Thank you very much. Bye bye.